Hello everyone and welcome back to Strife Solutions. I am of course William Strife and this is Yogscast Complete, or Yogpack if you prefer, a special version of modded Minecraft for us the Yogscast. If you want to play along, you can get the community version off of the AT launcher. A link is in the description. So, what do we have to do? Well, last episode was a big time-lapse episode, a bit of a short episode actually, because, you know, it's just a whole lot of work to do time-lapse. And whenever you finish, you end up with very little content despite putting, like 10 times the amount of work into an episode. So that's the reason why it was short. But I built the crafted cantina, the best cantina with the initials CC to exist anywhere on any server ever. Anyways, so now that the crafted cantina is complete, look at this. This is fantastic. I put some stone chairs out front. I also replaced some of the wood chairs in the waiting area with stone chairs as well. This place is looking fantastic. The problem is that it's a little bit barren. I should probably do a couple of more things to give it some more character, including putting posters up, but what is most important is I need to get stock. I need to have stock in this place. Sit down in that chair. I need to stock this place up with food and drink, okay? So in order to do that, naturally, this episode is going to be about getting food and drink into the crafted cantina. This episode, a lot of stuff to cover, but first, before I do anything, I want to cover the fact that I'm gonna need to sort out this tag lock and bed thing. Now, some of you already know that this is witchery, which is, it's not necessarily something that I'm totally comfortable with getting involved in, but I do need to do it because recently Kieran Dave visited me, and we had an exchange. I did a little bit of I gave him a little bit of a solution, and what he paid me with was this protection poppet, voodoo protection poppet, and a tag lock kit. So what I need to do is tag lock myself and bind it to the protection poppet, so that basically what's going to happen is people will get an enormous slap in the face if they try to do any witchery stuff to me, with limitation at least. I can't really skip the night because other people are on the server, but now that I've slept in the bed, I can go ahead and tag lock this by right-clicking. There we go. Now I've got my blood, and now I just have to craft that with the protection poppet, and there we go. A voodoo protection poppet for myself, and now nobody can, well, short of, I suppose, Kieran Dave, can really mess with me on the server, and I've taken my bed back up so that nobody else, like Kim, that Fluxy Queen, can sneak into my base and tag lock me whenever I'm not hanging around. So that is that. Let's check that off the list. Now, let's get into the other things that I have to sort out for this episode. So, first and foremost, the most important, the crafted cantina, it's all about the drinks. It's not so much about the food. To do that, I'm going to need apples and I'm going to need rice. But I'm also going to need grapes and hops. Now, I've already got grapes here. But to get... I'll show you how to get those here really quickly, as well as hops. So, to get your hands on hops and grapes, you have to destroy vines. You get rice by destroying grass. And I came around here and I planted a whole bunch of vines on this side of my of the platform because it's empty. And there's a skeleton over here. And in the process of planting those vines, I noticed that some people seem to have come around to my base and painted faces onto my platforms, which is not something that I'm too terribly enthused about. Frickin' vandals coming around and just messing around with my stuff. I mean, I know, I'm a little bit hypocritical say that, but randomly whenever you destroy these vines, you'll get grapes and hops. So I'll remove all of these vines and then we'll hop over to the cantina and get some planting going on. Okay, so as the sun rises, I'm back next to the cantina, and it's time to start getting planting sorted out. So the first thing that I'm going to need is apples. Okay, I'm going to need apple trees to make all of this work. So to get your hands on apples really easily from Growthcraft, because this is where the that's the mod that I'm using to make the booze. You just take normal apples and you craft them to get apple cores, and you just take that and right click, and there you go. I've got a apple sapling from Growthcraft, and that'll grow up and it'll have tiny little apples come off of it. Oh my, that is a bit of a short tree. I'll go ahead and remove the lower layer of leaves. Now with that tree planted, let's move on to the next step, which is going to be harvesting rice. Rice for sake, if you will. So I covered this before, whenever I was still working on the tiny little platform next to, with the little house before I built the tower. But the way you harvest rice is you, first of all, till a farm field, and then you take a shovel. Okay, it doesn't look like Tinker's Construct is going to agree with me, so I'll get myself a normal shovel. Okay, so with a normal shovel, not a Tinker's Construct shovel, you right-click the farm field, and it'll create rice paddies for you. Now, as you can see, some of these rice paddies, they're wet, and others are dry, and as you can see, the hydration is what's making that difference. So what I need to do now, okay, so with that done, what I need now is to take a bucket, fill it up with water, and then right-click, and that'll hydrate a 3x3 9-block area. So I just have to do that to the whole farm field. So with the whole farm field complete, what I need to do next is take the rice that I have and just right-click and plant it in the rice paddy like so. So it'll grow over time, and whenever you hit it, it'll give you rice. And rice is, it's kind of like potatoes and carrots. You can use it to craft all sorts of food, but you can also use it as a seed as well. So I'll go ahead and plant all of that stuff. Okay, so with the rice paddy and the apple trees down, what I need to get into now are grapes and hops. Now, I need a lot more grapes than I need hops because hops are extremely efficient in their space use. Grapes are not. So in order to do this, I'm going to need fences and rope. Now, I've already got the fences in my inventory, but to make the rope, I have to take string, combine it with a slime ball to make a lead. This is a standard Minecraft crafting recipe, and then I just craft that again, and it gives me rope. So I'm going to make a couple of these. And here we go, we've got 64 ropes. That is more than enough. Now, in order to do this, what I got to do next is put down fences along the edges of where I want things to grow. There we go. With the fences down, the next step is to take rope and attach it to the top and go along like so. Go ahead and attach it like so. There we go. I think that's about as long as you can get the ropes, so I'll go ahead and connect it the rest of the way to the other side. Okay, so with those ropes in place, the next step is to choose what I'm going to plant and where. So let's go ahead and take the hoe, and I'm going to hoe up all the ground on this strip alone, okay? This is the only one that's going to be fully hoed. The others, I'm going to hoe just on the edges, like so, because those are the only spots that actually need to be ready for planting. There we go. I just craft the grapes into grape seeds, like so. So 6 grape seeds, and I can go ahead and right-click to plant them. So with that, with those grapes planted, now I can go ahead and grow them. So now you see it's turned into this trunk, and I just keep on growing it until it's up there, and then I can go ahead and continue to whack it with bone meal, and it'll continue to grow along the vine. Okay, there we go, all grown. All of my grapes are up and on the vine, and these will not extend any further down. That lowest block will not be covered. I could have built the rope at just the second block level, but it's a lot easier to harvest these whenever they're at face level. So the next thing that I need to do is get to hops. So in order to grow hops, I need to actually flesh this out with a full rope network over all of the dirt, like so. And then just like with the grapes, I have to craft the hops into hop seeds, as you saw me do, and then I right-click to plant the hops. Now, these hops cannot be planted unless there is a rope in the same block space as the dirt that you plant on. So I'll go ahead and finish by planting those, and then I'll use the bone meal here to go ahead and speed along their growth because, you know, fantastic. I love bone meal for how much time it saves me. Okay, hey, we're starting to look like a proper vineyard here. I had to run out and grab some more bones because I ran out of bone meal, but there you go. I've got hops and I've got grapes, and now all I have to do is left-click these a single time to harvest them, and I can go ahead and hop down into the actual kitchen of the cantina and start making use of them. Okay, so important note, don't left-click the hops, right-click it just to get the hops off of it, and it'll regrow. So, learn something new every day. Okay, so back down in the kitchen basement, and this place is looking fantastic. As you can see, I used lights from the Mr. Crayfish furniture mod. Right-click them to turn them on and off to light this place up. I love the way it's looking. I'll go ahead and right-click. Grass, grapes, rice, and hops are done. Now let's get on to pressing and brewing, the most important process of creating alcohol. So, in order to do this, I'm going to need a place to put kettles down, and I'm also going to need to make all sorts of other things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in growth, and it'll give me all of the items that Growthcraft introduces. Now, what I'm interested in are these brew kettles, the fermentation barrels, and the fruit press. So let's start off with the brew kettle. That's just a cauldron recrafted to create a brew kettle. Then, of course, there's the fermentation, which is just a bunch of wood with iron. And then the fruit press, which is a piston, some wood, and iron. So I'll go ahead and make 2 fruit presses, 4 fermentation barrels, and 4 brew kettles? I can't quite remember. A few brew kettles. Okay, so I've got the brew kettles, the fermentation barrels, and the fruit presses. So where I'm going to start is with the brew kettles. In order to make use of these, they have to be able to boil the liquid inside of them, which naturally means that I need to be able to put a fire underneath them. So to do that, I'm just going to remove some of the floor back here and put some netherrack down. Light all that up on fire, and don't worry, it won't light this stuff on fire. This is just a block of iron from the chisel mod, looking a lot more impressive than you may imagine. So as you can see, a bunch of smoke is rising. No worries, I've got ventilation blocks up there. Get some nice, keep things nice and breathable in this place. Next, let's go ahead and put down the fruit presses. Just put one down right over there and one down right over here. And these require levers in order to work. So there we go. So let's get started. First off, apples. So in order to start the process of turning apples into cider, I need to put it in a fruit press, pull the lever, and if I open the UI, you can see that it's turning the apples into apple cider young, and it's giving me bone meal as a byproduct. Now to come over to the other fruit press and take the grapes that I have, not too many of them, but enough for right now. Pull the lever on the fruit press, and it does the exact same thing. It gives me young grape wine. That's fantastic. Now I'm going to go ahead and put these other barrels over here. Okay, so sooner or later, everything has to come through the brew kettle, all right? But it's not exactly the most simple thing on the face of the earth. What I have to do right off the bat is come in and fill up some of these brew kettles. So what we're going to start with is rice and sake. So there we go. I've put some water into the brew kettle, more than enough water, and I just need to put the rice in there, and it'll start turning that rice into sake young, okay? Which is fantastic. That's perfectly fine. Actually, I think that I made more brew kettles than I need to make. I might actually be wrong, and this stuff goes straight to the barrel, and stuff that you have to boil goes straight to the barrel, and I don't think that there's any cross between those two. Okay, so we've got a bunch of young grape wine. I'll go ahead and hit that, and come over to this fermentation barrel, right-click, and now we've got 1,000 young grape wine in the fermentation barrel. Likewise, I can come over here, and I can get some cider, and put that in the fermentation barrel, and it'll give me young apple cider. Now, there's something else that I can also make, which I haven't covered yet, and that is wheat. If I take wheat and put it in the brew kettle, and then come over here and grab another bucket of water, right-click, now it's going to turn that wheat into ale with no hops. Now, we're going to run into one other particular problem, and that's the fact that ale cannot be fermented without hops, okay? So we've got ale from wheat, but we don't have hops in it. So I'm going to have to right-click to take that out, then right-click again to put it back into the brew kettle, and then I have to put hops in the middle to brew it up with hops. So I get ale hopped young. And once that's done, then it can go into the fermentation barrel. I'll take this sake out, put it into the barrel over here. Okay, so the ale is done. I've got young hopped ale. And with that, I've got some alcohol in all of the barrels, not full. It would be optimal to fill the barrels up completely, but I'm not going to bother with that for now because that's going to require more work than I have time to cover. So the next step is to make all of this stuff not young. So to do that, you just put a single nether wart in. So the way that brewing works in Growthcraft is not too different from the way that brewing potions works in vanilla Minecraft. In order to make this ale useful, I have to ferment it with netherwort, okay? So I just put one piece in there, and that will take 20 minutes or one full Minecraft day to ferment, and this bar over here will take time to fill up. Once that's done, this will be a useful ale that I can drink. Not too unlike a potion. However, I can then ferment it again with either glowstone or redstone to either strengthen the effects with glowstone or extend the effects with redstone. So in other words, the ale is going to have X or Y properties whenever it is done fermenting. If I look over here, ale hopped fermented, the standard effect is 3 minutes of haste. However, if I ferment it with glowstone, it will half the effective time to 1 minute and 30 seconds, but it will give me haste 2 as a result. Alternatively, I could instead ferment it with redstone to extend the effects from 3 minutes to 8 minutes, but I would only have haste 1 then. So those are the options that you have whenever you go through these fermenting barrels. And it takes time, so it's one of those things where you just kind of tinker with it in the background, you never really pay too much attention to it, and it ends up and you end up with fantastic results in the end. Now, just to recap very quickly, you grow the grapes, you press them in a fruit press, you grow the apples, you press them in a fruit press, and then you bucket those things out and you put them in the fermentation barrels. Sake, you have to put it into a brew kettle with water to create sake. Same thing with ale, you have to brew wheat with water in a brew kettle to get unhopped ale, and then you have to rebrew it with hops to get hopped ale. And then the sake and the ale, whenever it's been hopped, go into the fermentation barrels, and then you apply your netherwort to get them. Once the netherwort is done, you can add either redstone or glowstone to change to either extend or strengthen the effects of the booze. But that's the way that it works. And with that, I am William Strife of Strife Solutions, and there's still a lot left to do in the kitchen here. I'll get to you next time with the other creative types of foods that I'm going to be stocking the restaurant with. Until next time, though, I'm William Strife of Strife Solutions, and I'll see you next time. Bye!